Hello, my name is Dr. Chinny, and you're welcome to the International Conference of Educational Innovation and Philosophical Inquiries. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be discussing soft skills development is crucial in higher education learning, with emphasis being placed on the essence of critical writing. So in terms of contents, I will start off my presentation with explaining or providing some form of context of my study. I will then state the aim of the study. Subsequently, I will shed some light on what the scope and focus of the study is about. I would explain what my methodological stance is, and I would follow that up with the findings of the study, some concluding remarks, and of course, what I call next steps. So in terms of context, I'm sure delegates would agree with me that today's higher education institutions have continued to see an increase in the number of diversity of students. Now, this brings with it a lot of benefits, but it also brings a challenge in the area of enabling or having students to become confident in communicating and expressing themselves in writing. So essentially, developing critical writing skills in our students within higher education learning would enable them not only get good at thinking, but will also help them grow in confidence towards communicating effectively with a wide range of individuals. Therefore, this research fosters an inclusive learning environment where students gain not just subject knowledge, but also are equipped and prepared on how to apply fundamental employability skills. So following on from the review on the essence of critical writing, the aim of this research study was to explore how targeted critical writing sessions create a platform for inclusion, an environment for thoughtful interactions, an opportunity for academic integration, and of course, to reinforce students' ability to develop valuable employability or soft skills. Therefore, the scope of this study was such that a planned arrangement was put in place which enabled an integration of academic or teaching staff and professional or support services staff, such that the critical writing sessions were embedded into specific modules for the purpose of enabling students develop that key employability skill around writing. Now, with respect to methodology, for this study, I adopted the qualitative methodology, which means I assume the interpretivism paradigm. So this slide showcases the different stages of the project. So I started off with the design and development phase. I then went on to the implementation phase. I then had the monitoring and evaluation phase, and finally the dissemination phase. So what I'll try to do in the next few slides is to explain what the different phases of the project are shown on the image on this slide entail. So starting off with the design and the development phase, the study was put in motion by first organizing individual and group formal meetings between myself and academic staff and professional services or support services staff. The goal of the meetings was essentially to unpick or to gain some understanding on the perceptions of both categories of staff with respect to students' learning in the area of their communicating effectively through critical writing. Now, outcomes from these meetings resulted in the design and the development of the integrated critical writing sessions. This now led to the implementation phase or stage of the project, where I, in collaboration with the teaching staff and professionals or support services staff, where we now had to deliver the embedded or integrated critical writing sessions within specific time-tabled modules. For the purpose of the monitoring and evaluation phase, which is where I had to monitor the essence of critical writing, it's important to highlight that the project was targeted to both undergraduate and postgraduate students. With respect to data collection, the project participants also included a combination of undergraduate and postgraduate students. So essentially, interview sessions were organized with undergraduate students, 3 undergraduate students, and 6 postgraduate students. Now, moving on to the data collection procedure, still within the monitoring and evaluation phase of the project. Essentially, the goal of the interview was to evaluate the essence or the significance really of the embedded critical writing sessions. So the goal of the interview as listed on the slide, the first one was to evaluate students' learning in their area of communicating effectively through critical writing before attending the embedded sessions and after attending the embedded session. I also wanted to find out students' perceptions of key employability skills in relation to their engagement with the critical writing sessions. And of course, essentially to evaluate students' development of soft skills, more specifically, critical writing skills. It's important that I highlight that the interview questions used in this study were informed by literature and of course put together in view of the previously mentioned aim of the study. The questions, as earlier highlighted, were broadly focused on gaining insights on students' experiences from attending the embedded or integrated critical writing sessions in relation to their development of soft or employability skills. Now, moving on to the data analysis, having collected the data, which brings us nicely into the dissemination phase, where I'm having to showcase the results. This slide presents the student voice such that students had an opportunity to demonstrate their learning in relation to communicating effectively before engaging or attending the critical writing sessions and after engaging with the critical writing sessions. On the left-hand side are students' views before engaging with the critical writing sessions. And on the right-hand side, I've got students' comments, actual quotes from students having engaged with the critical writing sessions. I'll give us a moment to reflect on some of the comments that are on the slide. And I would urge us to place more emphasis on the students' perceptions after engaging with the critical writing sessions. Now, a bit more specific on how students' engagement and attendance to the integrated critical writing sessions may have had some direct link, or if you want to call it impact, on the area of employability skills. So how linking the critical writing sessions with projected lifelong competences. There are the comments of the slide, showcases quite a positive experience for the students on a general note. A number of the comments sort of jump out of the slide for me, one of which is where a postgraduate student highlighted that it has enlightened them on knowing how to meet the criteria for writing. Another postgraduate student also highlighted that it has helped them not just in their academic career, but they're beginning to see the connection on a professional level or on their professional pursuits, as shown on the slide. Again, I'll give us a few minutes, maybe a couple of minutes to reflect on the comments that I've got on the slide. Having explained or showcased findings in terms of students' perceptions on how their engagement with the critical writing sessions linked to development of critical writing, communicating effectively or confidently. What I've done with this slide is to highlight what I call main highlights, or to showcase main highlights from the data analysis in form of closing remarks. I'm going to read through what I've got on the slide. It says students' engagement through attendance with the integrated critical writing sessions show a record of positive learning experience. I hope you can relate to this in view of the findings I showed in the previous slide. And this record of positive learning experience was seen both from an undergraduate student's point of view and from a postgraduate student point of view. On a general note, there is an improvement in the student's ability to communicate confidently through writing. A second point in terms of a main highlight is that the sessions had a positive link to the student's attitude to learning. So from the findings shown on the previous slide, we could see that some of the students commented that previously they struggled with writing, they were scared of writing, but having engaged consistently with integrated writing sessions, they have been able to boost their confidence and their attitude towards writing has most certainly improved. There is that desire to acquire knowledge. Comments like, I want to know more. I haven't quite finished learning. I want to learn more. So that is a desire to acquire knowledge. The findings also show critical reflections where the students have taken a step back and they are beginning to see the connection between what they acquired having been part of the critical writing sessions in terms of their academic career, but seeing that connection also in the context of their professional pursuits. You may have also noticed comments that were circled around academic performance or academic success. So the sessions were not only beneficial in terms of developing that key employability skills in terms of being able to communicate confidently in writing, but also improve the students' academic performance in terms of having to perform better when it came to their written assessment. A final point in terms of closing remarks is that the critical writing sessions appear to have fostered the students' ability to develop valuable lifelong competencies, including employability skills. So, there is that showcase or a highlight around the students' ability to express themselves critically, both orally and in writing. In terms of next steps, I have identified 3 points that I have highlighted as recommendations or next steps really. The first one, action point, is for the critical writing sessions to be a continued integral part of the module delivery. Now, what this means is that the critical writing sessions being integrated into timetabled sessions. So they shouldn't be run as a one-off. So it should be something that should be done. For example, if you've got an undergraduate student, the critical writing sessions integrated into module delivery should be from the level 4, the first year of the student learning, up until the final year. So it should be part and parcel of the module delivery, where you have the professional or support services staff coming into sessions that are being delivered by the academic staff, and they deliver sessions that are strategically on developing critical writing. The second point in terms of action or next steps is linking the critical writing sessions to the assessment through a culture of constant communication between the academic staff and the professional services staff. Now, what this means is that the critical writing sessions have got to be designed or tailored in such a way that students see the connection between those sessions that are predominantly run by the professional services staff, but within their sessions that are led by the academic staff. They want to see the connection. They should be designed in such a way that students see the connection between those critical writing sessions and the assessment. So for that to happen, there's got to be that culture of communication between the academic or teaching staff and the professional or support services staff, such that for the professional services staff to design critical writing sessions that are relevant, they've got to have that constant communication with the academic staff or the module leader in terms of what the assessment is about, that will enable them to design those critical sessions rightly in connection to whatever the assessment is about. The final point in terms of action is around promoting flexibility or embracing flexibility in the design and delivery of the critical writing sessions. Now, what this means is we usually say no one size fits all. For example, the critical writing sessions that are integrated, and I said earlier it should be embedded in the module delivery, the timetable session. It could be such that you have the professional or support services staff sitting outside the room. So when an academic staff in a 2 hours teaching session gives the students a 10 minutes break, or if it's a 4 hours teaching session, the academic staff gives the students about 15-20 minutes break, they have an opportunity to engage with the professional services staff who may be sitting outside the room to now help them make that connection between what they've been taught in terms of subject knowledge, and how they can apply that, not just within the assessment, but how they can apply that in the future or in subsequent modules. So when I say flexibility in terms of the approach, flexibility of approach in the design, What that means is we've got to work out what works for each module. And once that is done, that consistency in delivery based on an approach for a particular module is something that we've got to promote. Thank you for listening to my presentation and my talk. I've got my contact details on the slide.